The Puck Portfolio with Andy McNeil.
Hey, welcome back to the Puck Portfolio. I'm Andy McNeil, your host. This show is sponsored by NorthStar Bets. Check them out via the link in the description below. I'm welcoming back Nick Martin from the Action Network's Line Change podcast. As you guys know, if you watched the live stream on Wednesday, you know that I had a tough time looking ahead to Thursday's slate, trying to find some betting value, but really things not looking all that clear to me here. I think the lines are pretty tight, so I'm bringing Nick in to get a fresh perspective on things. Hopefully he can find some angles to shoot for here, because we've got a pretty interesting slate on Thursday with some marquee games and some maybe games that you're not necessarily keying in on, but from a betting perspective might be the best ones to key in on here. And I know Nick wants to talk about his hometown Calgary Flames, who put on a masterclass in squandering a 3-1 lead on Tuesday against the St. Louis Blues. They're hosting the Columbus Blue Jackets, who are in town. So, Nick, why do you like the Blue Jackets here? I'm guessing you don't like the Flames. Tough price at minus 200 across a lot of sports books here. But the Blue Jackets, they're a tough team that can maybe play up to their price, you think?
Yeah, I continue to think out of the Blue Jackets' recent sample, even dating back to about mid-December, that they have played to their betting number a lot more often than they've paid off. They've been kind of sneaky competitive, and they're always a gigantic underdog, which they are in this matchup. I thought they played two excellent periods again versus Edmonton, and that game fell apart late. But I think that also helps us arrive at this number here, where maybe if they had paid off a lot of those flurries that they could have, that they probably would have with any kind of puck luck, this number gets a little worse. If you look at the last 10 games for each of these teams, the Blue Jackets actually own a better expected goals for at even strength, which I think is surprising and reasonable. And I get that the Blue Jackets don't have Jacob Markstrom and they don't have, overly great goaltending at all. But I think there's much more of an avenue for them to hang around in this game. They continue to be competitive. So I don't mind the Blue Jackets. And I look at their top three units and I continue to think there's more talent there than is shown thus far. There's been some problems with usage and getting things organized. Guys are playing all over the lineup, up and down. Fantilli's back on the wing now, whatever it is. But I do think Pascal Vincent is working with more talent up front than has kind of been on display. And they're starting to turn that into more oftenly playing competitive games. So to me, this number just looks too long. I think that the Jackets are going to play to their price and make this game competitive.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like you said, the Flames, they're in the bottom half of the league right now in expected goals percentage. The Blue Jackets, they've got a lot of pedigree. Like you said, they've done well in drafting the last few years. It's starting to show in their lineup. And Pascal Vincent has, gotten this team to kind of play up to a certain standard, at least this season. And you'd like to see that from a team that, like you said, is a pretty massive underdog. And against this Flame team, although I might not necessarily see a ton of value here betting the Blue Jackets myself, I do think it's Columbus or nothing against a team like the Calgary Flames, who has, for the most part of the season, displayed big time loser energy. If you ask me, I think you'll like a few other games on this Thursday slate. Nick, is there anything else that's catching your eye for Thursday?
Yeah, the other one that's catching my eye, and they've been kind of a thorn in my side all year, but the Senators versus the Bruins, some of the numbers out there, if you're getting around plus 130, I think are playable. They continue to turn, like, you're not going to find a team that is capable of turning play in the right direction versus a team like Boston at this kind of number too often. And granted, they've let down in a ton of spots where they, you look at Saturday versus the Jets, that's just a prototypical Sens loss this year, where it's just find a way to lose, even if you feel like you had the better of the chances. Feels like the games their goaltenders have been respectable, they don't finish. It feels like that whenever it's the opposite, they finish everything. Their goalies let in every single shot. But I do think that the variance working out how it has kind of works in favor of getting a bit of a better number here on the Sens. I think they'll be a popular play. It feels like everyone's kind of riding this Shane Pinto return wave and that sort of thing. But at the current numbers, I do, or some of the current numbers, I do think there's a play with the Sens.
Yeah, for sure. Ottawa isn't a team that I see a lot of value in betting on a lot of the time. I do agree with you here that some of these prices that are still available are almost certainly going to move based on what we're seeing here. So you definitely want to get on that if you like the Senators, like Nick does. But Yeah, the Bruins, I mean, they are a team right now that I don't necessarily like betting on. I don't like betting against them because they do everything seems to come up Boston right now. And as for the Senators, they're a team that I don't mind betting against them when the price is right because I do think the market tends to go a little bit too hard on this team and has all season long. But they're not a team that I love betting against because of the reasons that you just said there. They can turn play in their direction and they can get things going totally in the right direction when they do get the scoring and the goaltending kind of aligning with that. But we'll see if it happens on Thursday with the Boston Bruins. Thanks for joining the show, Nick. Appreciate you doing that once again. We'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Andy.